This is episode 7 of I Got the Smokes Let's Ride podcast experience with me, BTCG, and I'm glad you're here. Man, I am excited that you're here. I am stoked that you're here, and I am doing double duty. So every once in a while, you're not watching because you're driving. Please don't watch. Please just drive. Listen to the dulcet tones, the silky fog voice of Bob the Cigar Guy. Hello there. How are you doing? Oh. Anyway, I'm doing double duty. Time is away. I'm having to be a good manager of time, and I'm not. Things just fall off my plate all the time. But the plant, the car mill I'm working at, is extremely busy. They're actually calling us in on most of our days off. So I'm working 6 days, maybe 7 days a week, 10, 12 hours. It's really hard to crank things out. So this is my day off, and I've got to get some editing done, which I'm actually editing episode 6 of the podcast right now and rendering it to save, which is just a fancy word for putting it on the computer so I can put it on YouTube later. So I'm going to look over the computer once in a while and make sure that my computer doesn't go dark, because if it does, then it screws up everything, and then I have to do the podcast all over again, and I don't have time to do another extra podcast that I've already done. I need to get that through. But enough about me. How are you? Friday, right? It's time to go home, right? Man, you worked hard. You did good. You made a difference. You got a paycheck. Let's go get a cigar, light it up, and have a good time. Thank you for letting me ride shotgun with you today on your way home. If you are riding home, make sure that your steering wheel, your hands are at 10 and 2 or 9 and 3, depending on when you went to school for driving. Did they even do that anymore? We had to when I was in school, and it was 10 and 2 because we didn't have airbags, right? You had seatbelts, that's about it. You didn't wear them much, but you did have seatbelts. Now with the airbags, they say go 9 and 3, but they don't tell you that that airbag goes off so fast it could break your arms if you're at the wrong place. So it's kind of interesting. To be honest, when I drive home most days, it's either one hand on the side, using my left hand at 9 o'clock, or I'm just being lazy and grabbing at the bottom of the steering wheel and just letting it ride, right? Not the safest way, but I'm all right. I ain't crossing lanes or nothing. But I'm not looking at my phone, so please don't be looking at your phone, because you're precious and you're safe. There are people at home, people in your life that are waiting for you to come and be a part of their life, and so make sure that you get home safely, because they need you. They do. And if you're going home and you get home faster than this video is over, go in the house. Get in the house. Get out of here. Go away. I love you, but they love you more because you're awesome. But I told you last video, which is editing right now, that I would dive into the news cycle, that we would talk about the news. I still ain't getting nothing worth talking about. I mean, we could talk political, but I don't want to. We could talk divisive. I don't want to. We could talk about conflicts and war, but man, it's everywhere. You're getting your fill of it. Why get it here? I don't have any new things to extrapolate upon. I don't have any hidden insider information that would make your life better. All I could do is just complain and whine or give my opinion, which, we still have 40-something episodes, and I probably will complain and whine and give my opinion and regurgitate what other people have said. I probably will do that, but today, I don't plan to. I don't plan to tell stories either. We've been doing stories lately. I don't know if you're tired of it. Leave me a comment. Tell me if you are. Last week, which is editing right now, those stories didn't make me look so good. That's a fact. I don't want to do that. I don't want you to know who I really am, because then you won't like me, and I need you to like me because I'm thirsty. I need friends. Well, friends are nice, but I'm all right. I'm glad you're here. I am. I hope the videos are giving you a pause, giving you peace, giving you what you need. I take seriously the silliness because I think there's a purpose behind it. We just need a break. We just need a pause. We just need a moment. Maybe you need a message. Maybe you need something in your life right now. Maybe you have somebody that you need to talk to, and you said, hey, I just don't know how to bridge this subject. And maybe I can be that bridge or that catalyst to start a conversation that may make a difference in somebody's life. And that's important to me. And Chief, it's important to us both. That's one of the things that drives us. I mean, we work hard on the channel. We do. Chief does Chief Talk pretty much every week for 2 hours at 8:15 on Thursdays. And, that's a grind. He does all sorts of videos. We're going to go to PCA. We're going to go to Barn Smokers. We're going to go to all sorts of other things. I knock out tons and tons of reviews. We did almost 300 videos last year. I mean, that's a lot of work. And if it has nothing but, hey, let's just go in here and smoke cigars and talk to our phones so that we can be cool. I don't know how cool that is. That's really, you're not going to have enough gas in the tank to continue it. We're going on 9 years now. We've been doing this for 9 years. And so there has to be something driving you a little bit harder than this is just kind of cool, because the coolness wears off. I'm going to be honest. There are some days where you don't want to smoke a cigar. Some days where you don't want to do a review. Some days where life just gets in the way, or you'd rather be doing something else, or everybody's going to do something fun, and you say, I got to go grind. But because of the reason why you do it, you make the sacrifice. Now, I'm not doing a poor me, because this is first world problems. I'm sitting here with humidors full of great cigars. I'm in a climate-controlled studio. I got lighting. I got computers. We've traveled all over the place. I mean, there are so many perks. We get to meet so many people, even if I don't meet you personally, which I love to. If you ever see me, come on, please give me a hug. Say hello. I really would be honored and privileged to meet you. But I also get to meet you virtually. I also get to meet you through this time. I also get to feel like there's somebody on the other side of this phone, which, yes, I take videos with my phone. Chief uses very expensive camera equipment because he's fancy, but he does a great job with that. And me, not so much. I'm not taking tons of B-roll footage and tons of this and tons of that. And so me getting expensive equipment, number one, I'd have to figure out how to use it. And me and tech don't get along. And number two, it would just be an expense. It's just not necessary. It's not. And so we choose. I mean, we're country. We're budget. I mean, we're not rolling in the dough. And so we make sure that we make decisions that help to grow the channel. Chief just got a brand new lens. Jeez. For his camera. Lenses are so expensive. Oh my gosh. And we upgraded to a little monitor thing he puts on the camera that he can actually see instead of squinting, which makes life a whole lot easier. He's got a very nice camera. Professional quality camera. And then there's a frame that goes around it that holds all these things, and you got to have a new battery on it. That joker, man, he looks like he's a news reporter almost on that thing. Crazy, but he does great jobs in it. It justifies the cost, and he can do all sorts of amazing photography and videography. He actually has the hardest job out there, which is trying to make me look good. Best way to make me look good is turn out the lights or turn around. Don't look at me. I look better in the dark, that's for sure. But I digress. Let me stretch. Been working hard. My knees are giving me a hard time because I've been moving. I've been putting in miles at that plant on that concrete. My shoulders and back are getting me. It's just been a mess. It's been a hot mess, and just working without a break is just wears you out. I love to go get a massage. I do. I'll go with the first lady. Go to this little place called Happy Feet, and they get you on that table. They'll work you over, boy. You'll hurt for 2 days, but after that, man, you are gravy. You're walking like new money, right? Oh my God, I love massages. Now I won't ever get my feet did. There are people that have actually offered to bribe me money so that I would go get a pedicure. I ain't doing it. I actually had a guy offer me A year's supply of Liga from Drill State. I won't do it. You say you've got to paint your toes. I said, Bubba, I am not sticking my feet in that water and having somebody scrub my feet. Number one, I got ugly feet. I do. Too much time in combat boots and Marine Corps and swamps and water. Man, I got some ugly feet. I do. I got some ugly feet. They don't smell, but most of the time. But they ugly. They work, but they working feet. But it's just something to me, and you may call me a caveman. You may call me toxically masculine. You may call me, an antique. You may call me out of the role of society, and I'm fine with all of those monkey ears, those names, because I don't believe a guy ought to get his feet did. Now, if you have circulation issues, I understand that helps. And I'm not saying not to do that. But I'm saying just for a regular guy to say, hey, I'm going to pamper myself today. I'm going to go get a pedicure or manicure. Bubba. Nope. 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 No, that's not what dude's supposed to do. Lady's supposed to go in there and get frilly and pretty and all this and that, and I'm down with that. But dudes, nah, I pass. Dude wants to go pamper himself. You go see Sammy Flo or Rob at a barn smoker or at your local barber and get your hair did. Get a nice haircut. Oh, razor shave. Oh, that's amazing. That right there. That is my jam. Go in there and get that hot towel, get that lathered up, and get straight razored. That is just something right there. That just puts the cheese on my cracker. And one of the things that when I go to barn smokers is I have to stop and get my hair did and get, when I say hair did, I'm not talking about product and all this stuff. I'm talking about just getting a barber cut, but also getting that cleaning up, tightening up on the shave and those hot towels. Oh my gosh, Rob does me so good. Sammy Flo's amazing. I'm actually wearing the Barber and Cigar hat right now. Shout out to Barber and Cigar. They actually go around to different lounges in their area, and they will set up days where they'll set up shop, and while you go in there and you get a cigar, you get your haircut, you get your beard did, right? Usually, at least at barn smokers, it's free. It comes with the entry. Now, I highly recommend you leave a tip to the barber. I mean, don't just go in there. I mean, if you ain't got no money, that's fine. But if you got a couple bucks to go, you go into a barn smoker, you got money in your pocket. You got a couple bucks, you throw a couple bucks in the can, you say thank you very much, shake his hand, and just go about your day, right? So, why did I get on that subject? About getting your feet did, about getting your barber cut did. Do you remember what I was talking about? No, I got off in the tangent of massages. So I'll go get a massage. I will. That full body. I ain't getting in that chair because I'm a big old boy. Number one, I don't look good in that chair. Right? Things hang out over the sides of the chair. But also, that chair is meant to be folded up, moved around, and I just don't know the maximum capacity occupancy on that chair. And so my feet are back behind me. You know how that chair is, right? And so I've got my toes dug in, so I'm stabilizing the chair while the person's pushing on my back. And so I'm tense at the same time I'm trying to relax. And I'm paying money for a massage. I ought to be chill, right? So I'll go get on one of them tables, and I get the good old rub down, good hour, right? They'll work them shoulders. They'll work that lower back. Oh my God, that lower back. They'll get up in them shoulder blades. I got a spot in the middle of my back. I know you're wanting to know all this, right? I got a spot in the middle of my back about the shape of a diamond between my shoulder blades, the top of my neck, and probably the middle of my back. That muscle group is huge, but it's angry. I use it all the time in the jobs I do. And I'm pretty swole back there. But they get up in there, they turn my arm a little bit, get up on the shoulder blade, and they beat that thing into submission. Now, it hurts, like I said, for about 2 days, but after that, boy, I've got range of motion like you wouldn't believe. I could throw fastballs like Nolan Ryan. Ain't no way I could throw fastballs like Nolan Ryan. But I feel like it. In my dreams I can, right? But that's about the only place I can. I ain't thrown a baseball in probably 20 years. at least. Well, maybe. Did softball a while back. Years ago, but a while back. But I get that massage and I just get my relax. And First Lady goes and she'll get leg and feet massage and shoulder and neck massage. And we just kind of do it together. And then we go to lunch. Really, really nice. Just a treat, right? Don't do it often, but I do it every once in a while. I like it. But the thing that gives me relaxation, things that give me peace, is spending time in here with you and smoking cigars. It does. It does. It gives me that moment. It's that decadence. Let's be honest. Cigars aren't cheap, right? Even cheap cigars aren't cheap. Nothing's cheap anymore. But when you set fire to it and you're sitting around with somebody or sitting around by yourself, it is that personal experience just for you. It's that reset. It's that pause. Maybe you got something you need to think about. Maybe there's something you need to do about. Maybe there's something you need to reflect on. Maybe you need to grieve. Maybe you need to celebrate. Maybe you need to socialize. Maybe you need to just stop. Work is just so crazy. Life is just so crazy. Family responsibility is so crazy. Honey to-do list, your own personal list, all your projects. And you're just like, I just got to stop. Stop this bus. I want to get off for a minute. You get off. You fire that up. You draw on that smoke, let it sit in your mouth and roll around. You blow it out, and just a little bit of that stress just goes right out with that smoke. You draw it in again, a little bit more stress goes out, and you're ready to refresh and get the day. It just charges that battery. So I'm smoking today. I got into this late, already 16 minutes in. I'm smoking today the Acid Plush by Drew Estate. Now, because I am doing the editing right now, I can't go on the computer and talk about the blend because I can't look at it, because if I mess with my editing software, it throws a fit. It's very needy. It says, watch me, watch me, watch me. I have to reach over and touch the mouse every once in a while to keep it thinking I'm watching it. Such a needy thing. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh, I can't talk about the infusion. Boy, my head is going fast like a squirrel today. I can't talk about the blend, but I can talk about, excuse me, the things I can talk about, the things I know. And what I know is Acid Plush is one of my favorite infused cigars. It is. That semi-sweet glue on the cap is blended perfectly with the infusion of the tobacco, which is blended perfectly with the rest of the tobacco, which is just a symphony of flavor. It is not traditional. It's not. It is something that, it has an infusion in it. And that's okay. Now, infusion, interesting word. There's a couple of ways manufacturers can infuse a cigar. There's a cheap way, the fast way, and then there's the gourmet way. And nobody except the people that deal with the acid line at Drew Estate know how the infusion process happens. Wink, wink. Not saying I know anything, because of course I don't. This will just be me trying to figure things out. Wink, wink. Went to Cigar Safari years ago, which if you don't know what Cigar Safari is, you go to Nicaragua with Drew Estate and you actually stay on their compound in a gorgeous, think of the hacienda at Fantasy Island, if you remember back that far. Smiles, everyone smiles. And you get to meet personalities. Willie Herrera was there. Tater was there. Saw some, Henry was there. Saw some others. And you're actually living right next to the factory. And you get to go to the Drew Estate factory. You get to go to the Hoya factory. And you get to get these great tours. You get to roll your own cigars at Hoya and Drew Estate. And I think my blends are the best. I definitely tell Chief mine's better than his. That's for sure. But you get to have this experience. And you smoke tons and tons and tons of cigars. And as you're in there, you get tours of the factory. And oh, it's amazing. It's amazing to see all the quality control is just out of this world at both factories. They're totally different. The Drew Estate factory plays music loud. There's graffiti all over the walls, the Drew Estate graffiti. There's a different feel in the culture. Everybody's happy. It looks like everybody's having a good time. Everything is segmented, and the acid room where they roll cigars, which is ginormous, has this smell when you walk in the door. But the traditional rooms, the Liga rooms, and the underground rooms, and the everything else room, it has that smell, excuse me, of traditional cigars. That tobacco that just, oh, it smells so good. Oh my gosh. You actually can walk past some cigars and know where they're rolling because, like the Pappy line, you can go, I smell that Perique processed tobacco, that Tapa Negra. I can smell it, right? It's just amazing watching them do all this work. Then the quality control comes behind. Quality control is so amazing. It's so fantastic. But the area that they infuse the acid tobacco, you can't go there. They don't even point it out. And I was talking to people. I said, hey, where's the acid infusion area? I said, we didn't go there. Well, you can't go there. And I said, what do you mean I can't go there? And they said, you can't go there. And he said, why? I said, because we don't tell anybody. It's our secret. It's our special sauce. And I said, can I go? I won't take my camera. I just want to go. I just want to see it. And he said, no. He said, but you walked past it. I said, I did. He said, yep. Did I? They said, yep. And we were still on a tour. It was lunchtime. I said, are we going to go past it again? They said, yeah. And I said, will you do me a favor? Will you cough one time whenever we go past it? I'm not going to ask any more questions. I'm not going to ask anything else. I just want to know that I walked past it and I saw it. And the person giving us a tour, when they were walking past, all of a sudden he said, hang on, excuse me. And I was like, boom. And so I got to see where it is. Now, I couldn't see anything. I tried. Boy, did I try. I hung around the back of the group trying to see if a door would come open. I was really sneaky. I was trying to sneak, boy. I was really trying to get to it. I was, honestly to God. Then went to the Hoya factory, and we got to see all the Hoya stuff. And, of course, Steve Soccer rolls at the Hoya factory as well. They roll some of his tobacco. They roll the Unicorn. And so I asked the guy there, I said, where's the Unicorn vault? And they said, I can't say where it is. Man, I was pushing hard. I can't say where it is, but if there are 3 doors in the next hallway we walk down, it would be the middle door. And so got some pictures of me and Chief trying to pretend like we were breaking in. It was kind of funny. But it was kind of neat to touch that door and say, I have gone to the cave where the unicorns live, right? So the infusion process that I don't know about. Wink, wink. So the cheap way of doing it, the fast way of doing it, the not Drew Estate way of doing it, is you get tobacco that's not so hot, that doesn't have the flavor profile you want, that is just, it's just not stellar. It's good, but it's not stellar. I mean, it's tobacco. But they say, man, we can't throw this away. We got to use it on something. We can't waste this money. We got to pull a profit. So what do? So they take that tobacco and they say, let's flavor it. And they'll either dip it in chemicals and flavorings and all this other stuff, or they'll spray it, or they'll wipe it. It's basically like a topping. It's like a coating they put on the tobacco. And they put a lot on it because that tobacco doesn't taste that great. You don't get the tobacco flavor shining through you. You just get the berries or the cherries or the honey or the whatever, right? You know, it's just one of those things. Now, there's nothing wrong with that because they're cheap. You know, there was some friends of mine that would go fishing down in Charleston, shrimping down in Charleston. They wanted cigars just to smoke so that the no-see-ums, the mosquitoes, they wouldn't get on them, and they'd be smoking, right? And it just tastes good in their mouth, right, while they're out there doing their thing. And they would get these cigars, and I'm like, Bub, let me hook you up. And so I hooked them up with some acids, and some other cigars. And they came back and said, "Man, boy, howdy, that's different. Man, I like that. I almost felt bad smoking it while I was doing everything else." And I said, "Bubba, get you some, smoke you some, and have you a good time." And so, usually when they go out fishing, shrimping, they say, "Hey, you got any more of them cigars?" So I hook them up. They're my friends, right? I got some. I share some, right? Be a river, not a lake. Let goodness flow through you. Don't just hoard it, right? Let it flow, because more will come. It will. You do good, good things happen. So that's the non-drill state way. I refer to it as the two ways of doing it of hamburger. Stick with me. It doesn't taste like hamburger. It just this is my explanation, my illustration. That's the word. So you can go to McDonald's and get a hamburger for $2. It used to a double cheeseburger for $2, 2.50, whatever. It used to be 99 cents. It used to be that 99 cent menu, right? Not no more. But $2. And it's a hamburger. It's meat. You eat it, tastes all right, fill your belly, you get on your day. Budget, fast, consumable, ready to go. And then you go to a steakhouse, a fancy steakhouse, cloth tables, tabletops, tablecloths, and cloth napkins, real silverware. And you order that hamburger, and that joker's $25. You say, "Well, you know what? I'm here. I'm going to get it." Because the steak's $75, and you just ain't ponying off that much money. I'm cheap, right? I am cheap. And the first lady will get a steak, and so I'll have her get one that's a little bit bigger, and I'll eat some of hers because she don't eat much. See, so I get steak and hamburger, right? I'm full and tasty. That's weird. So that hamburger is treated differently than the other hamburger. They're both cow, hopefully, but they're from different cuts of cow. They are different grades of cow. They are better raw materials to start with. Then the way they handle them, they grind it up just the way they want to. They chop it up the way they want to. They add the spices. They add the the onion, the garlic, the oregano, the paprika, the Madagascar Himalayan salt. I don't know. They add all that stuff to it, and then they let it rest, and all that stuff marinates together, and then they put it on a very expensive grill, and they pay great attention to it, and they make sure it's perfect, and they put a nice bun out there with some of that mayonnaise or whatever they're putting on it, and they put a nice tomato on there and a piece of pretty lettuce on there and maybe an onion, and they put it on a plate nice and pretty, and they serve it to you. The presentation is great, from raw materials to how they handled it, to how they processed it, to how they delivered it, to how you receive it. Both are hamburgers, both are different experiences. And so that first infusion process is like the McDonald's hamburger, but I'm going to tell you there's another process of infusing tobacco that is much more like the gourmet hamburger from the steakhouse. And this is how I think it goes. You start off with premium tobacco. Did I tell you that this cigar, this Acid Plush, is premium tobacco all the way through and through? You don't get your trimmings, you don't get your leftovers, you don't get your seconds, you don't get your not so good. You get your grades. And then you just want to add to it. You want to get them spices in it. You want to marinate it in goodness and really make it something to shine. Something with great presentation. So you take that tobacco and you hang it in a sealed, climate-controlled environment. Now, a little bit of science here. You ever notice you never have a humid day in the middle of winter? You don't. Summertime, 85, 90 degrees, 100 degrees, Travelers Rest, South Carolina. Boy, you're breathing through a sponge. The humidity is crazy. You can wring out the air, right? It's humid, so moist. 90, 100% humidity if you can do that. I mean, it's just crazy. Wintertime, it's crisp. You don't have that. It's air, it's dry. It's so dry. Now, not all temperatures like Arizona, it's hotter than hot is hot, and they have no humidity. Moisture has to be present for the humidity to happen, but humidity cannot happen in cold air. It just doesn't do. When you get down in temperatures, your humidity pushes out. The air gets so dense that it just can't hold that water. You can't. And so somebody who does infusion gourmet style knows that. Now, it takes a while. So they put that tobacco, hang it in this sealed, climate-controlled environment, and they slowly, and that's a big word, slowly drop the temperature. If you drop the temperature fast, if you went from 85 degrees in Nicaragua and you dropped it down to 0, or whatever they drop it down to, fast, you could cause cracks, you could cause issues, you could cause stress on the tobacco. So you need to take your time, you need to slow it down, you need to slowly back it off in temperature. Just in little steps, An escalator of temperature dropping, right? Nice and slow. And as it drops, the humidity starts to go out of the room. Now that's the room humidity. What about the tobacco, Bob? And why is this important? I'll get to it. I promise I will. Well, the tobacco is friendly. The tobacco likes to hang out and be like everything around it. If you put cigars in your humidor with a Bovita pack, them cigars will humidify, right? In a sealed container, because it's getting comfortable. It's getting the same as the air around it. So this tobacco says, hey, it's getting cold in here and I've got too much moisture. Let me push out some of this moisture. Let me push out a little more moisture. Let me put out a little more moisture until it gets down to where there is no moisture in the tobacco, and it pushes it all out. At this point, I would believe that tobacco is very, very fragile. If you went in there and tried to handle it, it would probably bust and break because it's just too dry. Like think of dry leaves in fall, right? It's been sitting for a while. There's no moisture in it, and they crack in this and that. So you have to keep it in a sealed container so that it doesn't get affected by anything. But now it's thirsty. That tobacco is thirsty because it's got no moisture. Nothing else has moisture. It's got no moisture. And so you slowly, and that's a big word, slowly bring back the temperature up, which would, if you introduce humidity into the area, the air and the tobacco would start to get humidified. The humidity would go up slowly. Big word there, slowly. So if you infused or if you introduced a moisture through a fog or a spray into that room, which would get into that tobacco that had essential oils, botanicals, and herbs. By the way, did I tell you that this acid plush is infused with essential oils, botanicals, and herbs? Acid toast actually has teas infused as well. But you put that concoction, that blend of these things into the air in a mist. Well, that tobacco doesn't just cover the outside, because the mist does, but the cellular level, the molecular level, I guess, starts to suck up this moisture. So it doesn't just get on the outside, it gets ingrained into the tobacco. It gets infused into the tobacco. It gets immersed. It gets combined eternally into the tobacco. And then once you get it up the humidity you want it to be, you allow it to rest a little bit, to normalize, to stabilize, so that all of that goodness remains inside the tobacco. Then you'll take that tobacco out and you will apply that to, that's a high potent tobacco. That piece of tobacco right there is super de-duper full of that flavor. If you rolled a cigar with just that tobacco, which I'd love to try one time, just to try, it would be overwhelming. It would be like drinking a cup of that juice because it's just everywhere. But that's not what they do. To make it a balance, they take other premium long filler tobaccos and put it alongside it. And then they wrap it in a binder. Then they wrap it in a wrapper. Then you put a cap on it. But that's not it. Did I tell you that this cigar is made with nothing but premium long filler tobacco? It's acid plush. Burning great. Fantastic. Delicious. Oh my gosh, the flavors are just amazing. But then to cap off the experience, corner phrase, the pièce de résistance, the cherry on top, they take and sit down and they say, we need to put a little sweetness on the glue. We just need to add that one little extra thing. And so they don't just say, grab the jar of sweet glue and let's put it on. Each acid cigar, each deadwood cigar, factory smoked sweets as well. Those cigars, KFC sweet, those cigars have a specified sweet glue that's infused as well. That gives you that essence of flavor through and through, but it's in balance, right? If you had nothing but the hamburger and no bun and no tomato, no onion, no lettuce, no dressing of whatever kind, you're just tasting hamburger. But when you get that whole hamburger with that whole experience, all those flavors roll around. And so putting that sweet glue on the cap just adds to it. Now, I don't like onions on my hamburger. So I'll pull the onions off, or I'll tell them not to put onions on. I'll pull the onions off, enjoy the rest of the hamburger. And the acid line is interesting because you can you can remove the onions, per se, of your cigar. What do I mean? Is there onions in this cigar, Bob? I don't think so. It doesn't taste like it, that's for dang sure. I mean, it could possibly, but I don't believe so. But the onions in this illustration is the glue on the cap. Some people have said to me, I like acids, but they're just too sweet. They're just too much. I love the fact that I can taste the tobacco. I know it's long filler premium tobacco. I know it's delicious, but there's just a little bit too much sweetness on the cap. It just gets on my lips, and I just want to taste a little bit more. If that cigar is great, but I wish it just wasn't as sweet. Ha ha! I got it for you. We're going to remove the onions, right? Smoke that heifer safari style. Ha ha! Safari style. Bob, I've lived under a rock. I have no clue what safari style is. Well, come out from under your rock. It's okay. Chicken Little has said the sky is falling, but everything's all right. You can come out. And let's talk about safari style. Safari style happened. Now, I came up with the phrase safari style. I did. Bob Cigar Guy came up with the phrase safari style, but I did not create safari style. Now, people have been doing, quote unquote, safari style forever, but usually it's because of mistakes. Because they were too drunk, or they weren't paying attention, or they were brand new smokers and they just didn't know what to do, and they smoked their cigar safari style. What is safari style? Safari style, let me back up. So, we were at Safari, Cigar Safari. That's why it's called Safari Style. And at Safari, you've got lots of people that are taking the tour, about 15 people staying for 3-4 days. And when you're in the house, in the compound, gorgeous compound, by the way, when you're on the compound, there are cigars everywhere, tons. They're just all over the place. You can just smoke all the time. Smoked in a bathroom, which is kind of weird. It was hard for me to smoke in the bathroom just because I just feel like I'm not supposed to do that, right? You smoke in the house, you smoke in the kitchen, you smoke in wherever. There was actually a huge, big jacuzzi bathtub in one of the bathrooms, and I just wanted to feel like Scarface and sit in the tub smoking a cigar, but I was not willing to fill it up with bubbles and sit in there and excuse me, get my picture took, or that's just kind of weird. I didn't bring enough clothes to wear clothes in there and pretend like I was covered up. But I wanted to get in the tub and just feel like that for a minute. So I got in the tub with no water, with all my clothes on, and I sat there and felt like Tony Montana, right? I did. Quit laughing at me. I did. It was once in a lifetime. I did it. But there are tons and tons and tons of cigars, all sorts of cigars, anything you want. There are tons of Drew Estate cigars. And then every morning they give us exclusives, things you couldn't get, things that they actually don't manufacture for retail sale. They just put a couple things together. They put maybe a Candela wrapper on a Pappy Van Winkle. Oh, so good. Just call them Frankensteins, but they have all these things, and then you get some amazing aged releases that have been out of circulation for years. But you've got tons of cigars, right? Now, I tell you, you got tons of cigars. I smoke so many cigars. One of the cigars there was the Nasty Fritas. If you're not familiar with the Nasty Fritas, it's the trimmings off the Ligas. But it's made in a Nasty Vitola, which is the most aggressively changing Vitola that I've ever seen. It's only about 4 or 5 inches long, 4 inches, 4.5 inches long. And it's about, I don't know, a little bit more than a half inch wide at the bottom. And it literally looks like a trumpet, like a cone, all the way to the top, where it ends like a peak. It really does. It's just like the point on a Christmas tree, but narrower. One of them thin Christmas trees. We like fat Christmas trees. One of them thin, tall Christmas trees, right? Hall closet Christmas trees. And so when you smoke it, the filler only goes so far up that cigar, because the binder and the wrapper take up all the space to last, I don't know, half an inch, 3/4 an inch. And then as you go back, as you start smoking to that end, it gets less and less and less, and you get more binder and wrapper, right? And so it's closed foot. And so one of the people there, she wasn't, excuse me, I gotta take a sip of coffee. Sorry, hang on. She wasn't familiar with the Nasty Vitola, and she was just cutting up cigars. So she cut up the cigar, and she cut the closed foot off, and she cut the cap off, right, which is just a point. And she lit the pointy end, the cap end, and she smoked it from the foot, right? So she put the big end in her mouth, and the little end was sticking out, and it was on fire, just burning. She smoked it that way. And her friend that was there, another lady friend that was there, she said, what are you doing? She goes, I'm smoking a cigar. She goes, no. And I just happened to be, I was hanging out, I'm going to drop names. I was hanging out with Willie Herrera and a couple other people around the pool while everybody was doing their fun stuff, jumping around and having a great time. Chief was just the life of the party, and Rex Mercer and some other people having a great time. Cigar Dojo was there. Jack Heyer was there. Ryan Gallimore was there. I mean, it was just a great time. And so they were smoking a cigar, and I was just paying attention, and I heard the conversation. Thank goodness I heard the conversation, because it changed my life, kind of. Not huge, but it added to it. She said, what are you doing? She said, I'm smoking a cigar. She says, you're smoking it backwards. She goes, what? She says, yeah, you're not supposed to smoke it that way. So I think she felt a little bit embarrassed and this and that, and she set it down the ashtray, right within my eyesight. I could see it in the ashtray, and I'm sitting there. I should be paying attention to Willie Herrera telling stories and talking about stuff. I mean, God dog, I should have been paying attention, but my ADD was just focused on that cigar, going, wow, smoked it backwards. I wonder. This is the Liga trimmings, so this is all Liga tobacco. I wonder what the Liga wrapper and binder tastes like without the filler. I wonder. And so I excused myself, said I'm going to get a drink. Anybody want something to drink? And I went up to the top floor where the cigars were, and I picked up 3 or 4 of those, the Nasty Fritas. And I came down. And now I did not sit back with Willie Herrera, because that's a goof move, right? You're smoking a cigar backwards. And so at a table on my own, I cut it and smoked it safari style, backwards. And the flavor was so different. You don't get to smoke that part of the cigar because it's close to your lips, and you're going to burn your lips, right? No matter how far back you smoke, you can't smoke the whole thing. But I got to smoke the whole thing from that end, right? And it was such an impactful difference. So I did a video on it, Safari style. And then I started looking at other cigars like the Pappy Van Winkle, which has a Tapa Negra. And I highly recommend not doing this if you've never smoked a Pappy Van Winkle. You buy your first Pappy Van Winkle because they're pricey. They're worth it, but they're pricey. I would not smoke it Safari style the first time because you need experience as it is with that Kentucky dark fire cured Tapa Negra, which is the cap that's been Perique processed with that berries and unctuousness, that cranberries, that deep plums, raisins. Oh my God, it's so good. One of my favorite cigars. But when you smoke that Safari style, it actually changes the flavor. It puts that ham house smokiness all the way through, all the way back. You don't just get on your lips, you get it on the smoke, and it just changes everything. So I did a video, and the video got traction. The Access Cigar Safari shirts, right? They came out with Cigar Safari shirts a couple years back. I have some. Pretty cool, right? That's my little claim to fame is I coined the phrase Cigar Safari. Now, I did not do it. The young lady did it. I will never say that I did it first, but people have been doing that forever. But nobody really coined a phrase like that or did it, I believe, intentionally. So why'd I say all that? Well, I said all that because it's fun to tell. It's pretty cool. It beats the story from last episode. Much better than hitting kids in the face with a dodgeball. Talking about how bad of a kid I am. But Drew Estate caught a hold of the video, and it became something where they grabbed a hold of it. Jonathan Drew actually talked about it a couple times in some lives that they did. I think it was a freestyle live and a couple other lives. That was back when the Zoom calls were in, and they were doing all the Zoom calls and all the lives because nobody could go out because the whole world was locked down because of COVID. And Jonathan Drew said, yeah, and Willie was on, and he goes, yeah, Safari style, Safari style, Safari style. Cigar Bob, he called me Cigar Bob. Cigar Bob, Safari style. And he was like, yeah. And, you know, he really got onto something because Willie, he front loads and back loads, which means when you put the long filler cigar in there, the tobacco is longer than the cigar is going to be. So you rip the tips off and you either add tips, remove tips, move them in different places. So your cigar transitions. That's why you have transitions, is because there's different pieces of tobacco in there. It is long filler that's just added to little pieces put in. Little pieces are usually a couple inches long, and they're not all added in. But if you want to add a little more punch in the front or a little more punch in the back, you add those things. And that's called front load, back load. Well, Jonathan Drew started spilling the tea on that, and Willie kind of said, hey, let's not tell all my secrets. And then I was like, all right. So I started smoking some cigars, Safari style, just so I could see what the differences were. Some cigars, not much of a difference. Some cigars, Herrera line, Norteño, the Pappy, for goodness sakes, oh my gosh, all the infused, had a totally drastic change. They still were infused. Some people say it's not really infused, it's just the glue on the cap. That's not true. Smoke one backwards, Safari style. Get a plush, get an acid toast, get a red, get a whatever, right? A blue, get whatever color you want, and try it. And you will be surprised at the difference. The tobacco will shine through even more, and the sweetness will go back, but you will still have that leftover residue of sweetness, that berry deliciousness or whatever infusion it is for whatever that tease from the acid toast, which is the lightest flavored infused, by the way. The acid toast, the reds are the heaviest. Plush is right in the middle. Blue's right there too. Cuba. You start smoking them backwards, it really changes the experience, which is kind of cool because then you can buy a box of cigars and you actually kind of bought two, because you're getting two different experiences based upon the way that you smoke the cigar. which I classify that as pretty dadgum cool. I do. So that's Safari style. That's one of the things that I enjoy doing to elevate my smoking experience. That's one of the things that I'll never be an aficionado, but that feels like an aficionado move, right? That feels like a cool move. It does. And it's pretty cool. So if you've ever Safari style, leave me a comment. Tell me, hey, dude, I Safari style and it's stupid, or I have Safari style and it rocks my world. If you haven't Safari style, tell me you might want to give it a shot. I'd love to know. I really would. I'd love to see what the traction is on this. If you think it's just goofy and dumb, master blender, and I don't disagree with this, a master blender makes a cigar in a way that we are supposed to enjoy and smoke. He intentionally does it in this way, or she does it in this way, so that this is the experience I have, and I'm not going to mess with the master blender. Bubba, I'm down with you. But I do it. I do. Now, if you do the Pappy Van Winkle, barrel fermented, with that dark, dark cap, I highly recommend that you take the band off, you flip it over to where the flat side of the band, because one side's flat, one side's scalloped, sculpted, whatever, it's not flat. And you put the flat side of the band where the band would be upside down, and you put it next to where you're setting it on fire, and you keep it about an inch away from the edge that you're burning, right? Keep sliding it back. Why? Because that cigar, the glue does not go all the way around the whole cigar. It kind of holds it at the end, and then by smoking it in that direction, it just keeps it nice and tight all the way back. You can have a little bit of separation between the wrapper. It will start to pull up on you a little bit, but if you use the band like a safety belt, and you slide it back little by little by little by little, you don't have that problem at all. So it doesn't do that with any of the other cigars, but that Pappy Van Winkle barrel fermented, that is one of the ones that I highly recommend use the band. Now, you can slide the band and just leave it the way it is, but it doesn't do as well because one side is an inch taller than the other, so you're always going to have to rotate and roll and this and that. Be careful when you do it so that you don't slide your band up into and cut your wrapper. I've done that before. I've never had problems with burn because the binder, which is basically the first wrapper, is a solid piece of tobacco. It doesn't have holes in it that I've seen. It doesn't have any problems in it. So it still contains the burn. It doesn't cause other ways for the fire to run through and find air. Some cigars, other manufacturers, Drew Estate probably, different things, but their binder may not be solid. And so if you have a crack in your wrapper, then if the crack in the wrapper coincides with the crack in the binder, the hole in the binder, then you're going to have pipe holes, you're going to have tunneling, you're going to have canoeing, you're going to have all this and that. So just buyer beware. Now remember, Pappy Van Winkle is a higher price point. So, I highly recommend that if you haven't ever smoked a Pappy Van Winkle barrel fermented, I highly recommend that you smoke them the traditional way a handful of times before you take a shot. Now, if you just, you James Bond and you just doing things, knock yourself out, right? I'm not going to tell you how to smoke your cigar. Nobody should tell you how to smoke your cigar. The only thing I'm going to tell you about cigars is you need to cut the cap, you need to light the foot, or vice versa, Cigar style. When you light it, you toast it real good. You take your time. You toast it up real good. I heard that from Steve Saka. I was always in a hurry toasting my cigar, and I heard him in a video. And he said, if I was ever, no, it was in a video I did. I said, is there something you would tell cigar smokers about smoking your cigars? And he goes, yeah. I'm not going to tell anybody how to smoke my cigars, except I am going to tell you one thing, right? He said, when you toast your cigar, take your time. Toast that cigar slowly. Let it start to heat up. Get the smoke in the room. Get the smell of it first. But also, you want to make sure that all that tobacco is very well lit. It's all been introduced and received that heat and that flame so that when you puff on it, it burns evenly. Give your cigar the best chance possible to give you the best experience possible. If it's a junk cigar, it's not going to matter. But if it's a good cigar and you light it on one side, or you don't light it completely, you can have burn issues that are operator error. It's not the factory's fault. It's not the blender's fault. It's your fault. So take your time. Slow down. Take a pause. Take a break. This is your pause. You don't have to do it. You want to do it. So let that be part of your experience, right? Now, if you're smoking at the beach, try and toast it. But know that it's going to burn wonky. You got to keep spinning it in your mouth while you're smoking because the wind is blowing against it and it's going to burn one side other than the other. I mean, that's just basic science. Frustrates me when people post pictures of wonky burns, complaining, usually trying to get free cigars. And they're at the beach and it's burned up one side. You know, that's the beach. You're just trying to get an extra cigar. Don't do that. Now, if you have a bad cigar, because it's a handmade agricultural product, problems happen no matter how great quality control is. There's going to be a couple to get through. There is. It just happens. There's Friday cigars. There's Monday morning cigars. There's, sometimes you have that thing, right? You do. And they try to stop it. They try to correct it. They try to catch it. But sometimes things just happen. If that happens, and you've got a reputable company, send them an email. Send them a text. Right? Don't first of all go hit straight up to social media and get everybody up in arrears. Right? Don't do that. Number one, people, if you're in cigar groups, people will comment back and say, man, come on now. Right? They'll get you because they know people have been begging for a long time. But a lot of companies are great. I can speak from experience with Drew Estate and Steve Saka. Both of them, I've talked to both of their people that deal with customer issues, and they say, look, we replace them. We replace them. We don't even worry about it. If we know they left them outside for 6 weeks and it's Arizona heat and they're smoking it and it blows up on them, or they got a over-humidified cigar and it's corked down too tight and they go out on the outside and it busts because it's freezing cold. They know that, but they are going to make you whole regardless. So if you want to take advantage of the situation, the system, you can, but don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Nah, don't be that person. I almost said don't be that guy, but it could be a girl too, because women smoke cigars as well. They do. That's exciting. I think everybody should smoke cigars when you're of age, right? Don't be underage and smoke cigars. These are grown-up decisions. Grown-ups need to make grown-up decisions. So, man, that's great. Last week's podcast just finished uploading. Now I got to put it on YouTube. But, we're 58 minutes in. Man, how great was that? I got to tell you, I enjoyed talking to you on this podcast. I enjoy all the podcasts. Let me not say that. But this one just kind of flowed well. It just there wasn't a lot of ums. There wasn't a lot of pauses. There wasn't a lot of stuff. It just kind of went. Stuff I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about cigars. I'm passionate about quality control. I'm passionate about you having a great experience smoking cigars. I'm passionate about me having a great experience smoking cigars. I'm passionate about riding with you in a car and having a great time, giving you a moment of peace before you get into transition from work to home, right? That's a big transition, right? You got to let go of the stuff at work and you got to start to fill yourself up with the stuff from home. It's nice that I get to ride with you. Thank you for letting me be a part of your day. It really makes a difference to me. I'm humbled. I really am. So do me a favor. Let me be a little more humbled. Share this thing, would you? Tell your friends. Tell them to check it out. Maybe copy it and send it to them in Messenger or something like that. I'm not saying post it on Facebook. If you want to, you can. But I'm not saying you got to do all that. But I am saying if there's somebody that likes cigars and maybe likes country boy content, share it with them, because maybe there'll be something in there that sticks, and maybe there'll be something there that's valuable to them. And that'd be great, because you're valuable to me. We got 30 seconds. So let me finish this thing off by telling you how awesome you are, because you dang sure are. You deserve to smoke a cigar. You deserve great cigars. You deserve a moment of peace. If you don't take your breaks, somebody will take them from you. I guarantee whatever you got to get back to, it'll be there when you get there. So hold on for just a second. Sit down, relax. And if you're in your driveway, you're listening to me, and you've been sitting there for a while, shame on you. Get your butt in the house. Get in the house. Go love them people, because they love you. I love you too. And I'll see you later This Bob Cigar guy saying, drive safe. Later, tater.